Ian Garry certainly added some more intrigue to his matchup with Jeff Neal coming up here at UFC 292 in Boston, as he was caught wearing a shirt with Jeff Neal's mugshot from a DUI arrest from a couple of years ago. He's holding his kid and he's got his wife there. This was at UFC 290. Garry spotted wearing the shirt. I actually missed this. I didn't even know Garry was at the event. So yeah, kind of poking the bear a bit, so to speak, if you've heard that expression, trying to get a rise out of Jeff Neal. And a little bit surprising for me and Garry. We haven't really heard him go after any of his past opponents here, but this was an easy one, I suppose, for Jeff Neal. If you remember way back at UFC 269, he was charged and jailed with the DUI and weapons charges 16 days before UFC 269. And to be fair, Jeff really hadn't had any prior incidents with the law other than this. And it was a couple of years ago. This was back in 2021. But Ian Garry took this opportunity to build up his fight a little bit more. And honestly, when I first saw this, I thought, man, it's kind of distasteful. You know, he's got his kid with them. But look, this is the fight business. It's going to have more eyeballs on the fight with him doing this. But I wonder if Ian Garry's poking the bear here a little bit, and this might actually work against him. And I really think now Ian Garry has to win this fight, because if Ian Garry wins this fight, it's going to elevate him even more by doing this, right? He took a little bit of a low blow here, bringing up an old arrest from Jeff Neal, kind of parading around with his family about it. It's not a very good look, but again, this is the fight business. You got to promote yourself. You got to get more intrigue on the fight. So this is going to definitely add some personal level to this fight with Jeff Neal. And we already see Jeff Neal's father coming out here. BJ Penn has that, where there's a Facebook post talking about, turns out Ian Garry is straight trash. That's Jeff's mugshot on his shirt. Weirdo. Thought it would be cute to wear a shirt to UFC 290. He's so far back from the necessary fighters that no one gave a damn. I hope as hell he stays healthy so he makes it to the 19th. It's been a minute since somebody spoke out of place. Axe Bilal, Mike Perry, how that worked out for them. Although I don't remember Bilal or Mike Perry saying anything out of terms with Jeff Neal. But yeah, like I said, a little bit surprising from Garry. I know Gary's a good self-promoter. He wants to put himself out there. People are saying he's the next McGregor. This is something McGregor would have done if he was fighting someone that happened to be arrested. But I just, like I said, I really think Garry has to win this fight now, because if he doesn't, this is going to be a really bad look and people are going to remember this. And I think in a way, while it is selling the fight, it's putting way more pressure on Garry to win this fight than it would have before, because when this fight was announced, I had some people saying, hey, you know what? This is a bit too much of a step up here for Ian Garry. I do think it's an interesting fight. Neal's coming off a loss in his last fight. Let's just kind of go through his last couple outings here. Coming off the loss to Shavkat, but that was Shavkat. Now, granted, Shavkat trains with Garry, so maybe there's some insight there, but I don't know, man. Like, Shavkat's the only guy to finish Jeff Neal in the UFC. You look at who Neal's beat. The fight before that, he absolutely beat the brakes off Vicente Luque, also trains a bit at Killcliff. And then he had the split decision win over Santiago Ponzinibbio. You remember the story with Neal, right? We can kind of just do a quick career summary. Gets a big win in Contender Series, I should say, taking out Chase Walden in the first round, and it was all finishes from there. He got a big win over Bilal Muhammad in just his third UFC fight, a win that has aged exceptionally well. In fact, that's the last time Bilal lost a fight, so that's a big win for him there. Finished Nico Price, finished Mike Perry in the first round, which is very good, and then ran into some trouble in his first main event against Stephen Thompson. Of course, he was coming off the health issues where he almost died. His coach got COVID, didn't have the proper corners. It was not a good fight for Jeff Neal, but even then, Stephen Thompson wasn't able to finish him within 5 rounds. You had the Neil Magny fight, where I still think Neal wasn't 100% healthy in that one. Didn't look good in that one. I think if they rematch now, Neal looks a little bit better. The split over Ponzinibbio, you got a little bit lucky there. I think you could have possibly given that fight to Ponzinibbio, but Neal did get it done. The Luque fight, though, really showed us the old Jeff Neal, the one that took out Mike Perry, the one that took out Nico Price. Kind of the point I'm getting at here is I don't think this is an easy fight for Ian Garry. I know Gary's going to be favored. He's undefeated. Ian Garry looked outstanding in his last fight against Daniel Rodriguez, but Daniel Rodriguez does not have anywhere the resume that Jeff Neal does. Daniel Rodriguez is someone who does have knockout power. But Daniel Rodriguez only has a couple of UFC fights, and his biggest win is probably Li Jingliang in a fight that a lot of people feel like he didn't win. Outside of that, maybe Kevin Lee, I guess. Mike Perry, I'm not sure. I guess he has a win over Perry, although Neal finished him, right? So kind of what I'm getting at here is that, Gary's doesn't have a lot really to show here to sort of feel like this is like a slam dunk guarantee win for him. I think Jeff's going to be a tough opponent. I will be doing a full breakdown on this fight, but I just wonder if Neal does not finish this, or if Ian Garry does not finish this fight, this is going to be a thing that people are going to come back to and say, look, you aggravated an opponent that, may work against him, so to speak. And if, like I said, if Neal wins, I think people will go back and look at that. Now, look, on the flip side, if Ian Garry goes out and wins this fight, this move that he's made, this pre-fight mental move of wearing the shirt, it's going to elevate him even higher. So it's high risk, high reward here. But I just think with Jeff Neal, it's not a guarantee he beats Jeff Neal, in my opinion. Like I said, Neal extremely durable. Very good fighter, very good training camp that he comes from. You know, the last fight with Shavkat, there were some health issues going into that weight cut. That's why he missed the weight. I don't know. I just think like Gary's got to be a little bit careful about this because people will point back to this and say, look, why did you poke the bear? You know, we've heard this before where you get in an opponent's face. It's like when Ronda Rousey fought Holly Holm, right? Ronda Rousey was getting in the face of Holly Holm for no reason. You know, Rousey was saying that Holm was saying all this different stuff. I don't know if she did or didn't, but Holly Holm goes out there and beats the brakes off her. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Jeff Neal will do that in this fight, but, you know, like I said, which Jeff Neal is going to show up in this fight? If we get the Jeff Neal that fought Vicente Luque, who knows how it's going to end for Ian Garry, because that was a dominant win. The Jeff Neal that beat Mike Perry, the Jeff Neal that beat Bilal Muhammad. That's a very dangerous Jeff Neal. Garry, like I said, great win in his last fight, A+ performance. Keenan Song got dropped in that fight. Fought Gabe Green, Darian Weeks. These are, you know, borderline UFC guys. Jeff Neal is not that. He's an established ranked fighter, and a win for either guy is going to be big. If Jeff Neal gets the win, he takes out a hot prospect. He's right back in the contender seat. If Ian Garry wins, especially if he finishes Jeff Neal, he's going to be fast-tracked even more here with such an important victory over a veteran like Jeff Neal here. So to kind of summarize here, I don't mind Garry doing this. It's the fight promotion. Jeff Neal's the one who got arrested. It's fair game, I suppose. You know, he's holding it with his kid. Maybe not the greatest look there, but again, my opinion on this is basically that it's the fight game. You got to build up the fight. And I think people are way more interested in this fight. I mean, the fight itself was great when it was first announced. I think it was perfect matchmaking. You got a veteran in Jeff Neal who's had a few setbacks. Can he get back to that contender spot with Ian Garry? He needed to step up. This is a pretty big step up here. And even looking at the rankings here, I think it kind of makes sense. I'm not entirely sure where both are ranked. I know Neal is ranked. Garry, I want to say, is ranked as well. Could be wrong about that, but let's have a quick look. So Gary's ranked 13, Jeff Neal ranked number 8. That is a bit of a step up here, right? So we'll see. Gary's got to back it up, though. Like I said, he may be poking the bear here a little bit, and this may bring out the best in Jeff. Or Jeff loses, and Ian's going to become an even bigger gangster by doing this move and moving up even more. So I don't know. We're going to have to kind of see how this all sort of unfolds here with Ian Garry. But yeah, the fight's coming up here pretty soon, right? This is part of the UFC Boston card coming up at UFC 292, the Sterling O'Malley card. And this is definitely a main card fight. Yeah, it's the second fight on the pay-per-view. I mean, this is actually looking like a really stacked pay-per-view, by the way. Got Vera and Munoz, going to be a great fight. Neal, Garry, Font, and Song Yadong. You got the title fight for the strawweight title. You got Sterling and O'Malley. Boston is getting a very, very, very good card. And you got Chris Weidman on the prelims. Like, that's how stacked this card is. You got Chris Weidman on the prelims right now, which is a little bit nuts. Cody Garbrandt on the prelims as well. So Boston fans are in for a treat. And like I said, one of the things I love about MMA, and, you know, people hate using pro wrestling, but this is like straight out of a pro wrestling storyline, like bringing up someone's arrest and talking about it sort of in public like this. I think it's very interesting that Garry went this move. And I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong here, people, but I don't remember Garry doing this to any of his other opponents. So this is a bit out of character, but if you want to get people's attention, if you want to be captivating, you got to do stuff like this. And, you know, Garry, you know, putting it all out there and really, like I said, putting more pressure on himself, but, you know, pressure can either crumble you or it can make diamonds. So we'll see what happens in that fight. Like I mentioned, I will be doing an early look preview on this fight coming up here pretty soon. It's actually right around the corner here, August 19th, UFC 292, Sterling and O'Malley. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think Ian Garry was it distasteful what he did? Do you think it's fine? Like I said, my opinion is it's the fight business. Don't have a problem. Jeff Neal is the one who got arrested. It's fair game for him to say stuff like this, but I do wonder if he's kind of, you know, maybe igniting a Jeff Neal that you don't want to ignite. The Jeff Neal that, like I said, went out there and finished Luque and those guys. So follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, @Lynch on Sports. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.